Jai Shishi Guru Karanga Giri Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Juki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Shishi Guru Karanga Giri Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Juki Jai. One second. Shri there. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gosai Maharaj Srila Guru Deva Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupa Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Nitil Vishnu Vishnupa Rashata Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Prabhu. Nitil Pravishta Shri Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Nitil Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Nugoriya Guru Varga Ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadas Raghunath Shar Gosai Prabhu Ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai. Nama Chai Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandal Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. One second, I just need to... Sorry guys. One second. Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Ki Jai. Okay, there, found it. Okay. Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Ki Jai. Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Harinam, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hari Bol. Sorry, I was a bit distracted trying to set up everything while I was doing that Jaidvani. Alright, let's see if this is working. I'm using right now the Gopinath Bhavan temple Wi-Fi in this courtyard area. But let me see if it's working well enough. I'm just checking the comments. Haribo, Yashoda Didi, Dandavat Pranams. And Karuna Didi, Ganga Mataji, Prajumna Prabhu. Yeah, so what is the connection like? Is it decent? Okay, Ganga Mataji says it's okay. Great.
Dandavat Pranams.
Dandavat Pranams, Yashoda Didi. Haribo.
Yeah, you were breaking a little bit, but your voice is very clear.
No, okay, but now it's clear, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. If it starts breaking again, you can let me know, and I can move back into the temple room. I moved out here to the courtyard area in the back of Gopinath Bhavan, so that because they're doing kirtan in the temple room.
Okay.
But yeah, go inside there, then the connection will be stronger. Okay, so then, okay, I'm getting 3 Mbps upload. It's not the best, but it's better than my phone. So, all right, so we can sing a kirtan and then begin our reading for today. Let's see, what song should we sing today? I'm not gonna play Mridanga, I'll just sing because awkward to get mridanga right now. All right. We haven't done Kali Kukura Kadana Jadi Chauhe yet. Okay. If you wish to vanquish the dog-like personality of Kali, then sing the name of Śrī Sachinandan, the savior of the age of Kali, who nullifies all fear of Kali. Gaur is the exhilaration of Gadadhar Pandit. He is the treasure of the life of Nityananda Prabhu, and the worshipful object of Advaita Acharya. He is known as Nimāi, Vishvambar, and the Lord of Shivas Pandit, and he who steals the hearts of the devotees. He is the moon of Nadia, the Lord of Mayapur, and the divine propagator of the holy name. For Grihastas, he is the instructor, and for renunciants, he is their hero. He is Madhav in the bhav of Shri Radha. He is the purifier of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, the savior of King Prataparudra, the nurturer of Ramananda Rai, and a great hero. He enhances the bliss of Sri Rupa Goswami, and he is the maintainer of Srila Sanatan Goswami. He is the delight of Srila Haridas Thakur, and he is very grave. He is immersed in Vrajras. He is the destroyer of wicked materialistic philosophies, the purger of hypocrisy from the heart, and is the transcendental Kamadev, Cupid. He nourishes the pure devotees and expels dry knowledge. He demolishes false bhakti and is the reservoir of all pleasure. One second. Oh, Kishore says, I love that song. Well, I've never sung it in a melody that's not the morning tune before. I'm just going to sing it in the morning tune. Actually, no, I've heard Krishnadas Prabhu singing it once. I think he did. Kali kukura kadana jadi chauhe, Kali yuga pavana, Kali bhaya nashana, Śrī Sachinandana Gauhe. Okay, let's do it like that. Agadadhara madana, Nitayera pranadhana, Advaitera prapujita gora, Nimāi Vishvambhar, Srinivasa Ishvar, Bhakata Samoha Chitta Chora, Kali Kukura Kadana Jadi Chauhe, Kali Yuga Pavana, Kali Bhaya Nashana, Śrī Sachinandana Gauhe. Nadia Shashadhara, Mayapura Ishvara, Nama Pravartana Sura, Grihi Jana Shikshaka, Nyasikula Nayaka, Madhava Radha Bhavapura, Kali Kukura Kadana Jadi Chauhe, Kali Yuga Pavana, Kali Bhaya Nashana, Śrī Sachinandana Gauhe, Śrī Sachinandana Gauhe. सार्वभौमशोदन गजपतितारण रामानन्दपोषण वीर रूपानन्दवर्धन सनातनपालन हरिदासमोदन धीरा व्रजरसभावन दुष्टमतशातन कपटिविघातन काम शुद्धभक्तपालन शुष्कज्ञानताडन शुद्धभक्तपालन शुष्कज्ञानताडन छलभक्तिदूषण राम छलभक्तिदूषण राम कलिकुकुरकदन जदि चाहे कलियुग पावन कलिभयनाशन श्री सच्चिदानंद गाओ है श्री सच्चिदानंद गाओ है हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल Hare Krishna. Alright, so let's see how this is all going. Hari Bol Sudevi Didi. Oh, and Hari Bol Ujjwala Prada Mataji. Hare Krishna. Alright, so now we will do the Mangala Charan for Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and the glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita. We'll sing that and then we'll begin our reading. So nice to see you here, Ujjwala Prada Mataji. Hare Krishna. And Raseshwari Mataji, Hari Bol. Alright, so let's open up this Mangala Charan. And yes, just reminding you guys, oh, and Kishore Prabhu, Hari Bol. Yeah, so if the connection is unstable at any point, let me know and I will move into the temple room where they're doing kirtan, or closer to the temple room at least. Argyanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Ajanulambita Bhujo Kanakavadato Sankirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya-taksho Vishwambharo Dijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Namastrikala Satyaya Jagannatha Sutaya Cha Sabhrityaya Saputraya Sakalatraya Te Namaha Avatirno Sakarunyo Parichinno Sarishvaro Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Dvau Bhrataro Bhaje Sajayati Vishuddha Vikrama Kanakabha Kamalayate Kshana Varajanu Vilambi Sharbhujo Bahudha Bhakti Rasabhinartaka Jayati Jayati Deva Krishna Chaitanya Chandra Jayati Jayati Kirtis Tasya Nitya Pavitra Jayati Jayati Bhrityas Tasya Vishvesha Murte Jayati Jayati Nrityam Tasya Sarva Priyanam Adi Śrī Caitanya Priya Goshtir Charane Ashisha Prakare Mur Danda Paraname Tabe Vando Shri Krishna Chaitanya Maheshwar Navadvipe Avatar Nama Vishwambhar Tavai Vasmi Na Jivami Tvaya Vina Iti Vigyaya Devi Tvam Nayamang Charanantikam Bhaktya Vihina Aparada Lakshai Shriptashtakamaditaranga Madhye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Vrinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh, I'm just looking at this message from Pacific Dharma Inc. Had to go on Facebook, Zoom. I had to go on, and because YouTube wouldn't work. Oh, and the kirtan was really loud, huh? The kirtan outside was really loud, huh? Yeah, that's why I'm sitting here in the... Oh, actually, I could turn on noise suppression so that it's not loud for you guys and it's just loud for me. But, yeah. Now it's okay though, right? Is the background noise really distracting? You can let me know. Okay, in the meantime, we'll sing the glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Adi-lila, chapter 8, verses 33 to 42. You can either sing along with me or read the translation, whatever you like. Ore mura loka shuno Chaitanya mangal, Chaitanya mahima jate jani beshakal, Krishna lila bhagavate kohe ved vyas, Chaitanya lilar vyas vrindavana das, vrindavana dasa koilo Chaitanya mangal, jahara shavane nashe sarvaya mangal, Chaitanya nitar jate jani mahima, jate jani Krishna bhakti siddhanter sima, Bhagavate jata bhakti siddhanter sar, likhi achen iha jani koriya udhar. Chaitanya mangala shune jadi pashandi javan, Sheho Maha Vaishnava hoy tatakhan, Manushe rachite nare aiche granta dhanya, Vrindavana dasa mukhe vakta Śrī Caitanya, Vrindavana dasa pore koti namaskar, aiche granta korite ho tarila sangsar, Narayani Chaitanyer uchishta bhajan, तार गर्भे जन्मिला श्री दास वृंदावन, तार की अद्भुत चैतन्य चरित वर्णन, jahara shravane shuddha koilo tribhuvan sahaje vichitra madhur chaitanya vihar vrindavana dasa mukhe amritera dhar. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet, and when they are described by Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya commentary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Alright, so I'm gonna check the comments now. Okay, Pacific Dharma Inc. says, oh, okay, that's Pavatarani Mataji. Alright. Okay, I got it now. Okay, so Facebook saved the day. Great. That's strange that YouTube wouldn't work though. It seems like it's working for other people. I wonder if the link that I sent didn't work. Let me just try it, just to test it out. Let's see. Okay, it looks like this link works. Let me just try it, just to okay. Alright. Yeah, it's good that I'm streaming in multiple places, isn't it? So there's different options. Okay. So now let's go to Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. Kishore Prabhu, is there anything that you want to share from yesterday's reading, or any, yeah?
Oh, well, there was one thing that I wanted to share. Basically, it was just what Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote, the verse that said that that if one takes sides between two Mahabhagavat Vaishnavas, one commits offenses against them. So one Vaishnava is arguing and another Mahabhagavat Vaishnava is arguing with each other, and you take the side of one and you blaspheme the other, then you will fall down. And I was just thinking that, we're conditioned souls. We should never try to think that we know what's going on. And we see this, there's so many examples in Shastra and both in the personal lives of many devotees. And Krishna Leela, we see how we see how Srimati Radhika and Chandravali really are always arguing, and how they're trying to get Krishna there, and how Chandravali kipsnaps Krishna, and then Radharani sends Rupa Manjari, and Rupa Manjari kipsnaps Krishna's back. And
I mean, that's how the gopis are divided, right? It's divided against how against each other they are, or if they're friends or they're enemies, you know what I mean? There's tons of quarreling happening on. It's all full of quarreling in Madhuras, right? Between Krishna and the gopis, or between one group of gopis and another group of gopis. There's all, yes, that's what brings out the ras.
Yes, very rasic and very wonderful. And Krishna is relishing all these things, and the gopis are also relishing all of this. Yeah. When Krishna left for Mathura and Dwarka, Radharani became very, very morose, and she was lamenting in separation. At that time, Chandravali, she came, and she told Radharani, "I'm sorry for all these arguments and everything. I only did it to enhance the ras."
Wow, that's beautiful.
And we can see the classic example that we generally give is with Srila Prabhupada and his godbrothers, and how Prabhupada argued with many of them, and how Prabhupada argued with many of them, and but we see that many of Prabhupada's godbrothers and Prabhupada himself had great respect for all of them. We can do this with everyone, and then I guess we can do it with most devotees. For example, Bhakti-Vilas Tirtha Maharaj. Prabhupada said about him once, "Oh, what is Tirtha Maharaj? Where is his preaching?" But when Bhakti-Vilas Tirtha Maharaj entered Nitya Leela, and Prabhupada was told that he had entered Nitya Leela, Srila Prabhupada said, "Oh, he went back home, back to Godhead. And some devotees said, but Prabhupada, how's that possible? And Prabhupada said, oh, my Guru Maharaj accepted his service.
Wow, I've never heard that one. That's amazing. That's a wonderful point.
And Bhakti-Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, Srila Bhakti-Vilas Tirtha Maharaj he had many arguments with many of his godbrothers.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, yeah, he probably. Oh yeah, sorry.
Let's not get into details, but like, yeah, he had many various arguments, and yet all of his godbrothers acknowledged the service that he did. Like, he had arguments with Srila Bhakti Madhu Goswami Maharaj, he had arguments with Bhakti Bhakti Goswami Maharaj, and yet all of them had continued to maintain respect for him.
Yes.
And we can also do Srila Gurudev and Bhakti Bhakti Goswami Maharaj. There's another one.
Oh, there's so many examples. You know, we couldn't include a bunch of things, like in this book Kriti Ratna, we had to exclude some letters of Param Gurudev because of. I'm not even going to say what it was. We had to exclude parts.
Let's not.
I know. I'm not going to mention. But like, there's so many different things. Like just like if you read the Gaudiya magazines and stuff, you see some of the history, like some of the friction between different godbrothers and things. But we have to understand that. That's why this point is so important because it's very, yeah. Maybe should I just? Maybe we can read the verses again. I'll just share my screen and we can go through those verses again.
Yeah.
Because it's so important. Yeah.
And you're mentioning Param Gurudev and we can make a comparison. Not comparison. I don't know what proper word to use, but we can do this with Param Gurudev and Bhakti Rakshak Goswami Maharaj. And Bhakti Rakshak Goswami Maharaj, his mood was very much like Navadip. His mood was, I don't want Mahaprabhu to leave. We see this in his volcanic energy, like how the real Brajavasis, they want Krishna there in Braj. They're not satisfied seeing Krishna with a peacock feather, not with a peacock feather, in a royal dress, surrounded by his queens. No, the Brajavasis want Krishna in a normal cowherd boy dress and with a peacock feather. Similarly, the devotees of Mahaprabhu, they're not satisfied. The Navadip Vasis, they're not satisfied seeing Mahaprabhu with a shaven head and in saffron cloth. No, they want to see Mahaprabhu with beautiful locks of curly black hair, with beautiful tilak and dancing in Sankirtan, chanting Haribol, Haribol.
Yes, Jai Ho. Yeah, there's that beautiful part in. There's a whole section, right? In what was it in? Golden Volcano of Divine Love, the whole epilogue, right? Was that what it's called? The epilogue? I forgot. But Srila Goswami went very deep into that topic with that prayer of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur as a devotee in the court in Srivas Angan. Anyways, yeah, that's a very beautiful topic.
Yeah, I brought this up because Srila Goswami Maharaj's mood was bring Mahaprabhu back to Navadip. So when on Mahaprabhu's sannyas day, it was a very lamenting occasion with Śrī Caitanya Saraswat Mat. But for Param Gurudev, it was very different. And then there's I remember Padmanabh Maharaj was talking about it. You can ask him for more details. And there's the Rath Yatra at Navadip. But Srila Goswami Maharaj, he didn't want there to be a Rath Yatra at Navadip, because it was like Rasabas. But Param Gurudev saw it differently.
Gurudev wrote 3 articles on this topic, which he published in Bhagavat Patrika. Srivas translated them all. Yeah, that was a big.
Like, it's different Vaishnavas, they'll see different things differently. And we have to, but all of these things are correct. We have to accept that and acknowledge that.
Yes. Yeah, there's even differences between Srila Bhakti-Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj and my Gurudev. There's some things that they'd say were a bit different from each other. But yeah, we have to. And people who aren't so, like. Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to say, like, I don't want to. All right, I'm going to go through the previous verses. What time is it? Yeah, okay.
I just wanted to mention it because I thought it would be, it just stuck out to me.
Oh, it's such an essential point, and it's something that comes up. This point comes up through a few different places throughout Caitanya-bhāgavata. So yeah, it's essential, really. Maybe that would be a nice discussion just to get really deep into that sometime, because there's a lot to say. Yeah. All right. Lord Nityananda knew well that Lord Gaurachandra was living incognito in Navadvip. He thought to himself, I will go serve Lord Gauranga when he manifests his opulences, not when he's so hidden like this. So thinking in this way, Lord Nityananda did not go to Navadvip, but he remained at Mathura. He regularly enjoyed sporting in the waters of Yamuna and playing with the children in Vrindavan. Although Lord Nityananda is omnipotent, he did not distribute devotional service to the Lord at that time. When Lord Gaurachandra manifests his opulence, then on his order he would begin to distribute devotional service. Yeah, so Nityananda Prabhu was waiting for Mahaprabhu to manifest those pastimes of distributing prem, and then Nityananda Prabhu on Mahaprabhu's order, then he would begin to distribute prem bhakti dan. The servants and associates of Lord Chaitanya did not like to do anything without his instruction, but this does not diminish their glories in the least. Actually, it enhances their glories. Then we had Brahma, Ananta, Shiva, and the other demigods create, maintain, and destroy under the order of Lord Chaitanya. Sinful persons who do not like to hear such things are not fit to be seen by the Vaishnavas. Just see for yourself how Nityananda Prabhu has blessed the people of this universe with the treasure of devotional service. Lord Nityananda is the foremost devotee of Lord Chaitanya, for the glories of Lord Chaitanya always reside on his tongue. Day and night, Lord Nityananda chants the glories of Lord Chaitanya, so when one worships Nityananda, he certainly attains devotion for Lord Chaitanya. All glories to Lord Nityananda, who is the first manifestation of Lord Chaitanya. The glories of Lord Chaitanya become manifest by his mercy. One becomes attached to Nityananda by the mercy of Śrī Caitanya, and one who knows Nityananda never faces any adversities. Those who wish to cross the ocean of material existence and drown in the ocean of devotional service must worship Lord Nityananda. Someone said, Nityananda is just like Balaram. Another person said, he is most dear to Śrī Caitanya. Someone may consider Nityananda a sannyasi, someone may consider him a devotee, and someone may consider him a jnani. They may say whatever they like. Even if Nityananda was a most insignificant servant of Lord Chaitanya, still I would keep his lotus feet in my heart. Therefore, I kick the head of any sinful person who disregards the glories of Lord Nityananda and dares to criticize him. And then we had a beautiful commentary on this verse. If you find any follower of Lord Chaitanya... Okay, this is the point. No, it's the next verse, I think. If you find any follower of Lord Chaitanya appear to say something bad about Nityananda, you should know for certain that what they say was actually glorification. An example is the one Advaita Acharya. And then this is the point that Kishore was bringing up. Nitya Shuddha Jnanavanta Vaishnava Shakal Tabe Je Koloh Dekho Shab Kutuhal. Vaishnavas are always pure and full of knowledge. So, if there is any quarrel between them, you should know it is simply part of their pastimes. Ite ek janir hoia pakajay anya jana ninda kore koi jai she. If a person takes the side of one Vaishnav and criticizes another, he is certainly vanquished. These two verses are so important. Be nice to memorize these, huh? I should start doing that. Just all the like really essential verses that we come across, I should put them aside, and then maybe anybody who wants to memorize them or just keep them, we can do that. I'll do that later on. Anyone who follows Nityananda without finding fault in him will surely attain the shelter of Śrī Gaurachandra. When will that day come when I will see Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda surrounded by their devotees? Let me serve Lord Gaurachandra under the instructions of Lord Nityananda, who is my worshipable Lord in all respects. I love this verse. Kishore is also mentioning it yesterday. I desire to study Srimad Bhagavatam under Sri Nityananda Swarup, birth after birth. Nityananda Swaruper sthane Bhagavat, janme janme puribaya e abhimata. All glories to the Supreme Lord, Sri Gauranga. You have given me and then taken from me the association of Lord Nityananda. Still, I beg for your mercy so that my minds may remain absorbed in his and your lotus feet. Lord Nityananda is your greatest devotee. No one can attain him without your sanction. Lord Nityananda traveled throughout the forests of Vrindavan until Chandra displayed his opulences. It keeps on saying displayed his opulences, but I'm just looking at the Bengali. It just says prakashe, until he manifested himself. It doesn't say his opulences anywhere. So, like, until he manifested who he is. Okay. Whoever hears these descriptions of Nityananda Swarup's visit to the holy places will attain the treasure of divine love. Prem Dhan. Accepting Śrī Caitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Okay, so that is what we read yesterday, chapter 9, and now we will begin chapter 10, will be the first half of this chapter. Marriage with Sri Lakshmi Priya. Okay. Just checking the comments again. Oh yeah, Bhavatarani Mataji is giving the example of Guru Dev and Srila Trivikram Goswami Maharaj. Yes.
Could I mention one last thing?
Yes.
I was just thinking of sometimes we see some differences between Vaishnavas, or like different philosophical differences, and sometimes they're there, but sometimes they're not there, and we misunderstand and things like Srila Gorgovinda, like some devotees were telling Gurudev many things that Srila Gorgovinda Maharaj had said, and Gurudev was hearing them, or supposedly Gorgovinda Maharaj had said these things. And then one day Gurudev said, he called out one of Gorgovinda Maharaj's disciples into his room, Gokul Prabhu. He said, Ed, I want you to read this for me. And Gurudev said, I'm starting to wonder, is Srila Gorgovinda Maharaj in our line? And he had this devotee Gokul Prabhu read this article written by Gorgovinda Maharaj. And it was the eye to eye, the famous article, eye to eye union between Radha and Krishna. And Gurudev was hearing all of these things, and Gurudev was weeping. And then at the end, and Madhva Maharaj,
Separation, right? That book, Embankment is Separation.
And Gurudev was weeping here, listening to it. And Madhva Maharaj, he walked into the room, saw Gurudev weeping, and walked straight out. Like, nope, not going to deal with Gurudev right now. not going to deal with Gurudev in that condition. And after the article completed, Gurudev said, yes, now I know. Srila Gorgovinda Maharaj is definitely in our line.
Yes. Well, I never heard that detail. I remember hearing about Gokul reading the Embankment of Separation to Gurudev, but I didn't hear all those details before and after. Yeah, and I think when it comes to tattva, then all of our acharyas are in agreement with each other. But tattva is so subtle. There's so many different aspects and ways to look at it and stuff, and so it's not like so simple. So it might seem like there might be a point that's contradictory, but then if you look deeper, it's actually not contradictory at all. And that's I've just been seeing that with Sundar Gopal Prabhu. He's been going very deep into this topic of Srila Srila Jiva Goswami's conclusion on bhakti being inherent in the jiva, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's conclusions on that, and going through all the Guru Varga, going through all the different sampradayas, seeing what's in. And some people who are looking at this a bit more shallowly, they saw one statement and then they saw another, of Jiva Goswami, and then they saw another statement of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and then they're like, oh, look, this looks contradictory. But then Sundar Gopal is bringing out, actually, no, look what Jiva Goswami is saying here and here and here and here and here, and look what, anyways, he's, and we see actually, no, there is absolutely no difference at all. And actually, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was bringing out what Srila Jiva Goswami was saying. And, but, so when it comes to tattva, if there seems to be any difference, then that's the fault in the observer. And if they look deeper, for sure, there'll be a complete agreement. And then with things to do with ras, that's like with tattva. Things to do with ras, I think there's a little bit more, there can be differences in opinion according to ras among pure devotees. Because ras is, everybody has their own kind of ras, their own kind of relationship with Krishna. And so they'll have different relationships and different conclusions on things like that. Yeah, so there's lots of room for disagreement on that area. Okay. Chapter 10, Marriage with Sri Lakshmi Priya. And let's see, I said I was going to read up to verse 78, but we'll just read till whenever it's 8:30. I'll stop whenever. Hari Bol, Indira Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. And Govinda Saha, Hare Krishna. Okay. This chapter describes Sri Vishwambar's scholastic pastimes in the assembly of Gangadas Pandit, his exchange of joking words with Murāri Gupta, his marriage with Lakshmi Devi, the daughter of Vallabhacharya, and Shachi Devi's experience of various opulences in her house after the arrival of her daughter-in-law. This is the Katha Sar, the summary written by Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. After finishing his morning duties, Nimāi Pandit and other students came and sat in Gangadas Pandit's classes and debated with each other. Those who did not want to study under Nimāi were not supported by him. Rather, he showed them the bad results of studying independent of his guidance. Observing that Murāri Gupta was not studying under his guidance, Nimāi once jokingly told him that it was better for him to treat patients than to study grammar. Ooh, burn. In this way, he tried to arouse his anger. Rather than becoming angry, Murāri, who is a plenary portion of Rudra, challenged Nimāi to test his knowledge. The debate between the Lord and his servant began. The Lord was greatly pleased to hear the explanations of Murāri, who, by the Lord's mercy, was most learned, and he placed his lotus hand on the body of Murāri. At that time, Murāri's body was filled with ecstasy, and he thought, "Such extraordinary knowledge is not possible for an ordinary human being. There is no one in all of Navadvip as intelligent as he." He then said, "O Thakur, now I will study only under you." After sporting in this way, Nimāi went to take bath in the Ganga with his companions, and then returned home. Nimāi Pandit and his students established a school in the Chandi Mandap in the courtyard of the fortunate Mukunda Sanjay, the resident of Navadvip. There, Nimāi displayed various pastimes, such as establishing his own explanations and refuting others' explanations. Wait, it says Mukunda Sanjay, but Mukunda and Sanjay are two separate persons, right? Maybe, unless I've been understanding it wrong this whole time. Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Ghosh Ādi-khaṇḍa. Right? Like we sing Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Ghosh Ādi-khaṇḍa. I always thought it was Sanjay and Mukunda and Vasu Ghosh. Anyways, I could be totally wrong. Okay, so while teaching in this way, Nimāi would proudly boast about his mastery of learning in the following way. He said, "I see that in Kali Yuga, those who are devoid of any knowledge of sandhi or joining words pass as bhattacharyas." Just see this Kali Yuga. At present, there is no scholar within Navadvip who can answer my challenge. Meanwhile, considering that Nimai had attained marriageable age, Mother Shachi constantly thought about getting him married. One day, by providence, Lakshmi Devi, the personification of the goddess of fortune and daughter of Vallabhacharya, who hailed from a pure cultured Brahmin family, met her lord, Gaur Narayan, while taking bath in the Ganga, and she offered obeisances to his lotus feet within her mind. By the will of the Lord, that very day, Shri Vanamali, a Brahmin matchmaker resident of Navadvip, proposed to Mother Shachi the marriage of Nimai with Lakshmi Devi, the daughter of Vallabha. That's funny. There's a Brahmin matchmaker in Navadvip. There's Vanamali. Not getting any special attention or hope of marriage from Mother Shachi, the Brahmin was returning home disappointed when he met Nimai on the way. After understanding everything from the Brahmin, Nimai indicated to his mother his consent for the marriage. The next day, Mother Shachi called that Brahmin and told him to arrange the marriage as soon as possible. The Brahmin happily and immediately went to the house of the bride and informed her family about the consent of the groom's family, upon which Shri Vallabhacharya also jubilantly consented. But he declared that due to poverty, he was not able to give anything more than 5 haritakis as dowry. 5 haritaki fruits. With the agreement of both the bride and groom sides, an auspicious day was selected. One day before the marriage, Vallabhacharya came to Nimai's house, and at an auspicious moment, he executed the rituals meant to be performed with one's son-in-law before marriage. Thereafter, other auspicious Vedic and common rituals were duly performed. On the day of the marriage, at the auspicious time of Godhuli, or dusk, Nimai Paṇḍita with his companions arrived at the house of Vallabha and duly accepted the hand of Lakshmi Devi. The next evening, Nimai returned home with Lakshmi Devi. Mother Shachi, the mother-in-law of Lakshmi, along with other Brahmins' wives, welcomed her daughter-in-law home. From that day on, Mother Shachi observed various opulences and wealth, such as extraordinary effulgences and fragrances, and became overjoyed on understanding that her daughter-in-law was none other than Kamala, or Lakshmi. Due to the presence of Shri Gaur Narayan, the Lord of Vaikuntha, and his internal potency, Shri Rama, who is non-different from Shri Lakshmi, the house of Mother Shachi manifests as Vaikuntha, the abode of pure goodness. Yet, at that time, by the supreme will of the Lord, no one could understand the covered pastimes of the Lord. Oh my god, it's already 7:50 a.m. Okay, we'll just see how far we get. I think it's okay. Yeah, because, I'm going to have to move somewhere else soon also because my battery's at 20%. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandra Maha Maheshwar Jaya Nityananda Priya Nitya Kalevar. All glories to Shri Gaura Chandra, the Lord of all lords. All glories to Shri Nityananda's beloved Lord, who possesses an eternal form. Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. The word Nitya Kalevar refers to the Satchidananda form of the Supreme Lord Shri Gaurasundar. Although his form is eternal, in order that it may not be perceived as temporary and perishable, it has been described here as eternal in accordance with the reader's highly intellectual understanding that there is no difference between the holy name and the Lord. Within the gross body of the conditioned soul is his subtle body, and within the gross and subtle body is the liberated spirit soul, of whom Shri Nityananda is the source, and his object of 10 varieties of service, Shri Govinda Mohini, along with her worshipable Lord Shri Govinda, are the objects of 5 types of pure devotional service. Therefore, the philosophy of distinguishing between the body and owner of the body of the living entities who are controlled by Maya, considering that to be applicable to the Supreme Lord who controls Maya, is completely prohibited. In the subtle heavenly planets, the bodies of the demigods consist of gross knowledge, and Lord Vishnu is present within the bodies of the subordinate demigods as the controller. The supreme worshipable lord of such controllers is Śrī Gaurasundar, who is the combined form of Śrī Radha Govinda. Jaya Shri Govinda Dwara Palakir Nath Jiva Prati Koro Prabhu Shubha Drishti Pat. All glories to the Lord of Govinda, the doorkeeper. O Lord, please glance mercifully on the living entities. Interesting. Govinda Dwar Palakir Nath. The Lord of Govinda, the doorkeeper. Or is it? Let's see what the Gaudiya Bhashya says. Shri Govinda was the doorkeeper of Shri Vishvambar. Govinda guarded the doors of Vishvambar's house. That's in Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Ādi-khaṇḍa, chapter 11, the next chapter, verses 39 to 40, and chapter 13, chapter 2. And then also in the Madhya-khaṇḍa, there's a bunch of references to Govinda. Oh, okay. So Govinda was in Mahaprabhu's Navadvip pastimes, and then he went to Puri, I guess, huh? These are all the references. In chapter 6 of Madhya-khaṇḍa, chapter 8, chapter 13, chapter 23, and in the Antya-khaṇḍa, in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9. There are descriptions of Govinda, who is actually a god brother of Mahaprabhu. He's also a disciple of Ishvara Puri. It's interesting that he's mentioning him here, though. I wonder why. Shri Govinda Dwar Palakir Nath, O Lord of Govinda, who's your doorkeeper. Okay, verse 3. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Putra Vipraraj Jai ho tor joto Shri Bhakta Samaj. All glories to Jagannath's son, the king of Brahmanas. All glories to all of your devotees. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Shri Bhakta Samaj is explained as follows. Rajendra Nandan Shri Krishna is the only worshipable Lord. That Supreme Lord, in his two forms as Vishai and Ashrai, the worshipable and the worshipper, are the object of worship and the abode of worship. He is the worshipable object of all his subordinates. You see, that makes sense, right? So even though Lord, the Vishai Vigraha, or object of worship, who is the Lord of the goddess of fortune, and the Ashray Vigraha, the abode of worship, who is the goddess of fortune. So the Lord of the goddess of fortune and the goddess of fortune, they are both the objects of service for their devotees. The Shaktiman and the Shakti, they're both the object of worship of the devotees. The devotees' favorable cultivation of service towards their worshipable object is called bhakti, or devotional service. The servants of the Vishai and Ashray are known as bhaktas. So the Ashray is also Gurudev, right? So the servants of Krishna and the servants of Gurudev, they're bhaktas. Sri Guru, I mean. They are many, so collectively they are called Bhakta Samaj. Under the categories of six opulences, various spiritual splendors are present in this Bhakta Samaj. That is why the devotees have been described as Shri Bhakta Samaj. It's not just Bhakta Samaj, but Shri Bhakta Samaj, because various spiritual splendors are present. That is why, all the devotees who are under the shelter of the energetic Lord's energy try to please their worshipable Lord in various ways. You know, when we say Ashtatarashata Shri, Srimad Bhakti Pragya, that's actually a compound. Like, I'll show you. One second, let me just open it here and decide it. So sorry, I was going to try to type a code, but I forgot what it was. Ashtotarashata Śrī. That's all one compound. It's not just Ashtotarashata and then Śrī Śrīmad, no, it's Ashtotarashata Śrī Śrīmad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, like that. So this is separate from this. And it means the 108 Shris are 108, how do they translate it here? Opulences, or splendors, so it's saying that whoever you're talking about, you're saying that he is endowed with the 108 Shris, the 108 splendors, opulences, spiritual splendors. So that's something I've been doing in our books, because usually we'd write it like this, Ashtotarashata Śrī Śrīmad, like that, as separate words, and I've been having to go through in all our new books and make it Śrī, like that. Okay. Jaya Kripa Sindhu Kamal Jaya Kripa Sindhu Kamala Lochan Heno Kripa Korotor Jashe Rahuman. All glories to the lotus-eyed Lord, who is an ocean of mercy. O Lord, please bless me that my mind may be absorbed in your glories. Gaudiya Bhashya. When the living entity's highest spiritual propensities are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, who is full in 6 opulences, there is no inconvenience for them. Tomar sevai dukha hoy jata shel to paramasuka. When a living entity becomes greedy for objects not related to the Lord, he loses his opulences, and, being disturbed by his restless mind, he furthers his conditional life. That is why the author, with a desire to be attracted to the Supreme Lord, is hereby praying for his mercy. Ādi-khaṇḍa shuno bhai Chaitanyar katha vidyār-vilāsa prabhu korilen jatha. My dear brothers, please listen to the topics of Śrī Caitanya in this Ādi-khaṇḍa, wherein the description of the Lord's scholastic pastimes are found. Gaudiya Bhashya. The words vidyār-vilāsa are explained as follows. The conditioned soul in this material world is infected with nescience. In other words, he is born ignorant of his and others' constitutional position. When the aspect of spiritual knowledge that is part of the conditioned soul's constitution is unmanifest, his state is known as nescience, or ignorance. And the awakening and development of spiritual propensities by eradicating the absence of knowledge of the absolute truth is called vidya, or knowledge. In other words, the awakening of one's spiritual propensities by a learned person is known as the achievement of spiritual knowledge. The awakening of others' spiritual propensities, which benefits self-realized persons in various ways, is known as vidyār-vilāsa. Under the shelter of nescience, or ignorance, the living entities become illusioned or bewildered. This is the opposite propensity from spiritual knowledge. When, on the strength of this propensity and with the help of sensual knowledge, the conditioned soul's attempts to advance through the ascending process, they reveal their ignorance to learned persons. Srimad Mahaprabhu also manifested such vidyār-vilāsa pastimes for the benefit of the entire world, and thus delivered the living entities from the clutches of nescience. We should have sang vidyār-vilāsa before the reading today. It's a song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, vidyār-vilāsa. Vidyār-vilāsa katainu kal. How does it go? Yeah. Anyhow. Heno mate navadvipe Śrī Gaura Sundar Ratri din vidyārase nahi avasar. In this way, Śrī Gaura Sundar engaged day and night in his studies while residing in Navadvip. Ushakale sandhya kori tridasher nath Purite chalin sarva shishya gana sat. After performing his morning rites, the Lord of Tridasha went to school along with his classmates. It keeps on mentioning this Tridasharanath. Well, it mentioned it once before. Yeah. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word tri, or three, in the word Tridasharanath, in consideration of places, it refers to the Bhur, Bhuvar, and Swar planetary systems. In consideration of time, it refers to past, present, and future. In consideration of persons, it refers to Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. And the word dash, in consideration of directions, refers to the east, west, north, south, northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, up, and down. The word Tridasha refers to each of the 10 directions, above, center, and below. Otherwise, the word Tridasha, in consideration of persons, refers to 33 demigods. From the less intelligent point of view, the word Tridashpuri refers to the heavenly kingdom, and the word Tridashanath refers to Indra, the husband of Shachi. And from the intellectual point of view, one's saying the Agya-rudhi vritti and the Vidyār-rudhi vritti. So I'm not sure if intellectual point of view is the best way of translating that, but whatever. It refers to Lord Upendra. Some people say that Tridasha refers to the 12 Adityas, the 11 Rudras, the 8 Vasus, and the 2 Ashwini Kumars. Yet others say that each of these 33 demigods represent 10 million others. According to the learned viewpoint, the Vidyār-rudhi vritti, all these word meanings are included within Vishnu. The phrase Shishya Gana Sat indicates that since the disciples of the teacher of Gangadas Pandit were more or less subordinate to Nimāi, they respected him as the principal student and as good as their teacher. Asiya Vaishen Gangadasir Sabhai Pakka Prati Pakka Prabhu Koren Sadai. The Lord would sit in Gangadas's class and continually engage in debate. One second, I just want to, I haven't checked the comments. Hari Bandira Mataji, okay. Okay, so the Lord would engage in debate continually in Gangadasa's class. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word pakka refers to two different meanings of one subject. Pakka means side, so there's one side and there's another side. A bird is able to fly in the sky with the help of its two wings. Similarly, when there is some doubt about a subject matter, then both sides, the purva paksha or the challenging side, and the parapaksha or concluding side, are needed to reach a conclusion. Consistency must be maintained with the parapaksha. Each side refers to the other side as the parapaksha, or the opposing side. In other words, from an impartial point of view, each side is swapaksha. For each person who has an opposing perspective, for them it's their swapaksha, their own side. And from a partial point of view, each side is an opposing side. That makes sense, right? So from an impartial side, you say, okay, that's your opinion, that's your swapaksha, and that's your swapaksha. But then from each person on their own side, they say, this is, you are the parapaksha. Yeah, you are the opposing side. The words of paksha pratipaksha refer to debate and counter-debate, favorable and unfavorable questions and answers, one's own side and the opposing side, or the challenging side and the concluding side. 9. Prabhu sthane punti chinte nahi je jan tahare she Prabhu kadarthen anukhan. The Lord would always defeat the arguments of anyone who disagreed with his explanations. It says that my Mac will sleep unless plugged into a power outlet. Okay, now I need to finally move. I'll just read this Gaudiya Bhashya and then we'll find something. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word kadartan means to distort the meaning, to point out the inconsistencies or prove unreasonable. It means to pollute, to condemn, or to outright reject. Okay. Okay, give me a second, guys. I need to find a place. Oh. Okay, I luckily brought my cord, but I don't know where to set up. We'll have to find. Let's search around for a place to plug this in. Uh-oh. Hare Krishna, Shubhanand Prabhu. Okay. Hare Krishna, Dandavad Pranam. Just finding a place to plug my computer. Well, it looks like there's no power. Uh-oh. Oh no, there's power. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and I'm going to switch over to this Wi-Fi section. Okay. I'm switching over the Wi-Fi to a different connection. 1 second. Of Umaditi's room. Can't see there. Sorry guys. All right, sorry for this interruption. Okay, there. There, we'll leave Umaditi's name in view there. Okay, let's continue on. What time is it? I'm just checking. Okay, we have 20 more minutes left. Okay, Prabhu stane punti chinte nahi je jan tahare she Prabhu kadarthena anukhan. We just read this, right? The Lord would always defeat the arguments of anyone who disagreed with his explanations. The word kadarthan means to distort the meaning, to point out the inconsistencies or prove unreasonable, to pollute, to condemn, or to outright reject. Okay, I think we already read that, right? Poriya boisen Prabhu punti chintayite jar jata ganaloya boise nana bhite. After class, the Lord sat in the midst of his friends to discuss the subjects further. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Chintaite means to consider, to discuss, or to cultivate. The word nanabhite refers to various directions, various sides, or various groups. Na chinte Murāri Gupta punti prabhu sthane ataeva prabhu kichu chalen tahane. Murāri Gupta did not care to sit in the Lord's discussions. Therefore, the Lord desired to confront him. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word chalen means to induce, to stun with one's explanation, to remove, to dislocate, to induce shaking, to twirl, to condemn or chastise, or to pollute or criticize. Okay. Yoga patta chande bastra koriya bandhan boisen sabhar madhe kori virasan. Nimāi wore his cloth like a sannyasi, and he sat in the virāsan posture. I want to see what the virāsan posture looks like. Let's see. Virāsan. Let's see if we can find a picture of this. Okay, there's a virāsan. Let's see. That's virāsan. That's interesting. So you have your legs on both sides like that, huh? The hero's pose. That's virāsan. Okay. There's a picture of virāsan like that. Okay. In this Gaudiya Bhashya, in this verse, the word yoga patta refers to the way Vedic sannyasis wear their cloth. The word yoga kaksha is found in Sridhar Swami's commentary on Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 4.6.39. The piece of cloth circling tightly around the back and thigh like a belt that a sannyasi wears is called the yoga patta. It is stated in the Padma Puran Kartik Mahatma chapter 2. The piece of cloth that a sannyasi wears wrapped around his side like a bangle that covers his back and hangs down to his knees is called the yoga patta. Okay, so the lower cloth. The word virāsan refers to sitting like a hero, with one's left foot on the right thigh and the right foot on the left thigh. Oh. That sounds like the Padmasana, right? This is explained in Sridhar Swami's commentary on the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 4.6.38. Oh, maybe it's referring to the thigh, like on the, yeah. It's maybe not above on the thigh, but on the side of the thigh, yeah. No. Sorry, no, I got it right. This is anyway. Sorry, guys. This is explained in Sridhar Swami's commentary on the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 4.6.38, wherein he quotes from the Yoga Shastras as follows: placing the right foot on the left thigh and the left foot on the right thigh, while placing the left hand on the left thigh and raising the right hand in an argumentative pose is called a virāsan. Okay, so these pictures that I showed you is not the virāsan that's being referred to here. It's okay. Chandaner shobe urdva tilaka subhati mukuta ganjaye divya dashaner jyoti. He was smeared with sandalwood pulp and decorated with tilak. The effulgence of his beautiful teeth condemned that of a string of pearls. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word subhati means effulgent, beautiful, and pleasing to the eyes. The word ganjaye, derived from the Sanskrit verb ganj, means to condemn, to criticize, or to cause trouble. It condemned the ganjaye, the mukuta, the string of pearls. Gauranga Sundar Vesh Madana Mohan Shodasha Vatsara Prabhu Pratama Jovan. In his fresh youth, at the age of 16, Sri Gauranga's beauty captivated even Cupid. Brihaspati Jiniya Paṇḍita Parakash Swatantra Je Punti Chinte Tare Kore Has. In knowledge, he surpassed Brihaspati, the spiritual master of the demigods. He would tease those who studied on their own. He would tease those who studied on their own. One second, just want to check the comments, make sure everything's okay. How come it just says Kishore Krishnadas? Is my screen sharing? I think it is. Must be. Okay. Prabhu bole ite ache kon boro jan. Okay, sorry. So yeah, the Lord would tease those who studied on their own. He would say, "Ite ache kon boro jan asya kanduka dekhi amar stapan sandhi karya na janiya kono jana apane chintaye punti prabhu de apana ahankar kori loka bhale murka hoy jeva jane tar thai punti na chintoy." The Lord challenged, "Let us see who is intelligent enough to refute my conclusions. Some students don't even know the rules of conjunctions, yet they are satisfied to study on their own. Thus they eventually become fools because they do not take help from someone in knowledge." Gaudiya Bhashya. The word stapan means conclusion. The word bhale means due to sorry, I just got distracted. The word bhale means due to foreseen faults. Nimāi proudly challenged as follows. He said, "There is no one more intelligent, more learned, and more knowledgeable in Navadvip who can refute my conclusions." How surprising it is that although many people do not know the first lesson of grammar, how to join words, by the influence of their false ego, they think they'll become learned by independently studying their books. But in spite of their false ego, I can see that due to foreseen faults, they achieve only foolishness while presenting their answers. Because they do not come and study from me, the Lord of Saraswati, and the object of service for the crest jewels among learned scholars. Shunaye Murāri Gupta Atopa Tankar Na boloye kichu karja kore apanar. Hearing Nimai's provocative statement, Murāri Gupta did not say anything, but went on with his work. He just ignored him. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase atopa tankar is explained as follows. The prefix a, meaning to envy someone out of false ego or to cause trouble, joins with tup, which means to be puffed up, to be proud, to be angry, or to be very egoistic. And the word tankar means the sound of a bowstring, the clanging of armor, or to be astonished. Therefore, atop tankar means to speak egoistic words with pride, or bragging before piercing them with arrow-like words. It's an interesting phrase. Atopa tankar. And here it's translated as provocative. Okay. Tatapiha Prabhu tare chalen sadar sevak dekhiya boro sukhi dvijarai. Although the Lord was pleased that his servant remained silent, he nevertheless continued to challenge him. Prabhu bole vaidya tumi iha kene poro lata pata niya giya rogi koro doro. He said, "Oh, doctor, why are you studying here? You should go gather some leaves and herbs to cure the sick." Vyakarana shastra e vishamer avadi kapha pitta ajirna vyavastha nahi iti. The scriptures on grammar are most difficult to understand, and they don't mention anything about mucus, bile, or indigestion, kapha pitta or ajirna. Gaudiya Bhashya. The words vishamer avadi means ultimately extremely difficult. Visham. Mone mone chinti tumi ki bujhibe iha, ghare jaho tumi rogi drida koro giya. What will you learn by studying on your own? Better you go home and treat the sick. Rudra angsha murari parama kharathar, tathapi no hilo krodha dekhi vishvambhar. Murāri Gupta is by nature is most Murāri Gupta is by nature most kharathar, most harsh, for he is an expansion of Lord Rudra. Still, he did not become angry at Vishvambar. Pratyuttar dila kene boro to thakur, sabare chalo dekhi garvaho prachur. Murāri Gupta replied, "Dear respected sir, why are you so proud? Why do you challenge everyone? Sutra vritti panji tika jata heno koro, ama jigyasiya kina paila uttara." Have you asked me about a sutra, vritti, panji, or tika and not received a reply? Vina jigyasiya bola, ki janis tui, Thakura brahmana tumi, ki bolibo mui. You have not asked me, yet you claim I don't know anything. You are a respected brahmana, so what can I say? Prabhu bole vyakhya koro, aji je padila, vyakhya kore Gupta Prabhu khandite lagila. The Lord said, "So tell me, okay, then tell me, what have you learned today?" Then as Murāri began to explain, the Lord began to refute him. Gupta bole ek artha, Prabhu bole ar, Prabhu bhrite ke ho kare nare jinivar. Murāri would give one explanation, and the Lord would give another. Yet neither the master or the servant could defeat the other. Prabhur prabhave Gupta parama Paṇḍita, Murarir vyakhya shuni hana harashita. By the mercy of the Lord, Murāri Gupta was a great scholar. The Lord was pleased, therefore, to hear his explanations. Santoshe dilen tar ange parmahasta, Murarir deha hoilo ananda samasta. In satisfaction, the Lord touched Murāri's body with his lotus hand, and Murāri became filled with ecstasy. Chintaye Murāri Gupta apana hridaye, prakrita manusha kabhu e purusha nahe. Murāri Gupta thought, "He is certainly not an ordinary person." Gaudiya Bhashya. The words prakrita manusha refer to conditioned souls who are under the control of Maya, or material nature. Emon panditya kiba manusher hoy, hasta sparshe deha hoilo paranandamoy. Can an ordinary human being possess such knowledge? Just by his touch, my body was filled with ecstasy. Chintile ihanasthane kichula janai, emoto subuddhi sarva navadvipe nai. Santoshita hoya bolen vaidyavar, chintibo tomar sthane shuno vishvambar. Why should I be embarrassed to study under him? In all of Navadvip, there is no one more intelligent than him. Feeling satisfied in this way, the great doctor said, Listen, Vishvambar, from now on I will study under you. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word chintile means to practice one's lessons, while chintibo means I will practice my lessons. Thakure sevake heno mate kori range, Ganga snane cholilen loya sabashange. After this pleasing exchange between the Lord and his servant, Nimāi and his friends went to take bath in the Ganga. Ganga snana koriya chalila prabhu ghare, e mata vidyār-vilāsa ishwar vihare. After finishing his bath, the Lord went home. Thus, the Supreme Lord enjoyed the life of a student. Mukunda Sanjay Boro Mahabhagyavan, Jahar Alaye vidyār-vilāsa sthan. The Lord opened his school at the house of the most fortunate Mukunda Sanjay. Okay, so Mukunda Sanjay aren't separate persons, it's one person. Gaudiya Bhashya. I've been singing Gaur Arti, I've been misunderstanding it forever now. That's so funny. Gaudiya Bhashya. Mukunda Sanjay was a resident of Sri Navadvip and the father of Purushottam Sanjay. In the vast Chandi Mandap of his house, Nimāi Paṇḍita taught grammar and similar subjects to him, his son, and various other students. In this regard, one may see the Ādi-khaṇḍa chapter 12, that's the next, 2 chapters away, verses 72 and 91, and chapter 15, verses 5 to 7, 32 to 33, and 70 to 71, and also the Madhya-khaṇḍa chapter 1, verses 127 to 130. I'm going to stop very soon. Tahan putrere prabhu apane podai, tahar otar prati bhakti sarvathai. His son, Mukunda Sanjay's son, Purushottam Sanjay, became the Lord's student. He also had great devotion for the Lord. Boro chandi mandapa achaye tan ghare, chaturdike vistar parua tahi dhare. There was a large chandi mandap in the courtyard of his house. That hall had the capacity to hold many students. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word chandi mandap refers to a hall within the courtyard of a Hindu householder wherein worship and recitation of prayers to Chandi or Durga is performed. It is also called the Devi Griha, the house of the goddess, or Thakur Dalan, the hall of the gods. This place is generally offered to guests for their sitting. Goshti kori tahai Purana Dvijaraj, Shestane Gauranger Vidyār Samaj. Lord Gauranga, the king of the Brahmanas, used to divide his students in groups and teach them in that hall. Koto rupe vyakhya kore koto va khandan, adhyapaka pratishe akhepa sarva khan. Nimāi would give various explanations and refutations as he continually derided the other teachers. He derided the other teachers. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word akshepa found in the Alankar Shastra means chastisement, condemnation, pollution, and pointing out one's faults. Prabhu kohe sandhi karya gyan nahi jar, kali yuge bhattacharya padavi tahar. The Lord said, in the age of Kali, one who doesn't even know the rules of conjunctions is still given the title Bhattacharya. Okay, it's 8:30, I have to end now. Okay, I'm just going to read up to here, because that will be the end of this section. Gaudiya Bhashya. Accepting the title Bhattacharya, a learned scholar of the Shrutis, Nyaya, or Mimamsa, without going through the primary lessons of Sandhi, or adjoining words, is found in children's grammar, which is found in children's grammar. That is irrational. If you call yourself a Bhattacharya, but you don't even know Sandhi. And it is the basis of irreligiosity, it is irrational, and it is possible only in Kali Yuga. This is confirmed in the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 12.3.38 as follows. dharmam vakshantya dharmagya adhiruhyottamasanam. Adhiruhyottamasanam. Those who know nothing about religion will mount a high seat and presume to speak on religious principles. So then Mahaprabhu says, Heno jan deki phanki baluka amar tabe jani bhatta mishra padavi sabar. Let them refute my explanations. Then I will accept them as actual bhattacharyas and mishras. E mata vaikunta nayaka vidyār-vilāsa krida kore chinite na pare kon adase. In this way, the Lord of Vaikuntha sportingly enjoyed his life as a scholar, yet none of his servants could recognize him. Okay, I'll read this verse because it's a good cliffhanger. Kichu matra deki ai putrer jovan vivaher karjamane chinte anukhan. When Mother Shachi saw her son's first symptoms of maturity, she began to make plans for his marriage. So we'll find out what happens next tomorrow. Right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nimāi Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Nimāi Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nimāi Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai, Jai Srila Gurudev ki Jai, Srila Param Gurudev ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Rupa Nuvagoriya Guru Varga ki Jai, Saparshad Shri Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopigan ki Jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai, Shri Murāri Gupta ki Jai, the Lord's vidyār-vilāsa ki Jai, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai, Śrī Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai, Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita ki Jai, Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai, Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Nimāi Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Let's see. Who's there? Here on Zoom, there's Yashoda Didi, Kishore Prabhu, Shubhananda Prabhu, and Nri Hari Prabhu. Dandavat pranams. And let's see. On YouTube and Facebook, Karuna Didi, Ganga Mataji, Pradyumna Prabhu, and Mantra Murti Mataji, Sudevi Didi, Ujjvala Prada Mataji, Hare Krishna, Bhavatarani Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji, and Govinda Saha, and yeah, I already mentioned Indira Mataji, right? Yeah. And there's other people also, but I can't see your names if you don't write a comment. So, right. Haribol Indira Mataji, Dandavat pranams. Alright, so Kishore Prabhu or Nri Hari Prabhu, Shubhananda Prabhu, anybody have any comments? Or anybody have anything to write in the, if anybody on YouTube or Facebook have any comments, you can write it in the, you can write it down.
I was just reminded of two things. Tridandi Maharaj right now is giving Jaiva Dharma classes, and in one of them, in one of his videos from a couple weeks ago, he was mentioning how there was this Nyaya scholar, Brajanath, and someone was telling him, "Oh, Brajanath, have you studied the Nyaya Shastras, or have you studied the Nyaya conclusions by Nimāi Paṇḍita?" And Brajanath said, "Who is this Nimāi Paṇḍita? Are you referring to that boy, the son of Jagannath Mishra, who appeared about 100 years ago in Navadip?" And the person told him, "Hey, Brajanath, at least you read what he said, and at least read his Nyaya conclusions, his conclusions on logic and everything." And Brajanath was like, "Okay, fine." And then one day he started reading what Nimāi Paṇḍita had written, and he started reading them. It was like, oh my God, this was definitely not written by an ordinary person. This couldn't have even been a human being. And he continued reading, and his whole life was Nyaya. His whole life was the Shastras according to logic. And he was thinking, no, this Nimāi Paṇḍita, he is not a human being. He is Bhagavan himself. Otherwise, how could he have written all these brilliant conclusions on Nyaya and logic? And then throughout the various course of his days and weeks, he started thinking, Nimāi Paṇḍita. Alas, if only I could have met you, we could have had such wonderful discussions on logic. Because his whole life is logic. He was just thinking of Nimāi Paṇḍita and logic. Wow. Oh Lord Vishwambar, when will I study your logic again? And then he's purifying, and Sri Nandi Maharaj was commenting, so he's purifying himself constantly by taking Bhagavan's name, the name of Bhagavan Gaurachandra, chanting Gaur Sundar, Nimāi Paṇḍita, Vishwambar, Shachinandan, Jagannath Mishra Nandan, and then continuing, and then he goes to his grandma, and he asks Grandma, did you ever have association of Nimāi Paṇḍita? And his grandma told him, oh yes, he was a very brilliant and beautiful young man, wonderful young boy, and he would wear her splendid golden garments, and he loved shak. He loved eating green leafy vegetables. And then as she was saying that, she served her Brajanath some shak on his plate. And Brajanath was eating it thinking, oh wow, this is Mahaprabhu's favorite food, shak. And so thinking more about Nimāi Paṇḍita and everything, this led him to his Gurudev, Raghunath Das Babaji. And then he started associating with the Vaishnavas and became a Vaishnava.
So that was all that was the last remaining Sukriti that accumulated to bring him to Raghunath Das Babaji, right? Is it Raghunath Das Babaji?
Yeah, Raghunath Das Babaji.
Yes.
I think so.
Right?
I think there were some other things.
Yes.
And I was reminded of a pastime in Chaitanya Mangal, since we were discussing about Murāri Gupta. And it's written there in Chaitanya Mangal that when Nimāi Paṇḍita was a young boy, he would see Murāri Gupta and he would make fun of him with his friends. Like, oh, look at Murāri going down the street there. And then he would make fun of Murāri. And Murāri Gupta would get angry at him, like, hey, Nimāi, stop doing that. And Nimāi would run away. And then Nimāi would come again and harass him again. And that would go on throughout the day. And then, towards midday, Murāri Gupta was taking lunch prasad. And out of nowhere, Nimāi Paṇḍita comes out. And I don't know the Siddhantic reason or the Tattvic reason for this, but Nimāi Paṇḍita, he lives off his dhoti, and then he urinates on Murāri Gupta. And then Murāri Gupta gets ecstatic symptoms, and then Nimāi Paṇḍita runs away.
Oh my God! Wow. Okay, that's in Chaitanya Mangal, huh? I mean, sorry, Chaitanya.
Chaitanya Mangal, yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's
Definitely,
quite a wild.
Only Krishna can know. And it'll be good.
Wow, that is wild. What your edition of Chaitanya Mangal that you read, does it have the Bengali in there and then the translation underneath, or is it just the translation?
It doesn't, unfortunately.
Oh. Wow, that is one of the most interesting pastimes I've ever heard. Wow, that's okay.
I heard it before reading Chaitanya Mangal, so I didn't know it was in Chaitanya Mangal, so I became happy when I found it there.
Wow, okay. And that's Murāri Gupta explaining himself. Wow. Amazing. All right, thanks for that, Kishore. That was really great addition to the reading today.
Great.
All right, so then tomorrow we will read about the marriage of Mahaprabhu with Lakshmi Priya. And then what the 2 days from now, so today's 25th August here in India, and on the 27th August is the first day of Julan Yatra. Then 3 days from now is Rupa Goswami's disappearance day, and also disappearance day of Gauridas Pandit and Govindadas. And then we'll have the 3-day Rupa Goswami festival. And then the day after the Rupa Goswami festival, so in 6 days from now, will be Śrī Baladev Purnima. And then 2 days after that, I return to Navadvip. I'll be on a train. So, yeah, a lot coming up now.
I have a question.
Yes.
No, finish.
That's all.
Oh, I was just I remember hearing from Vadayan Maharaj that in Vrindavan, Krishna is 15 years old, 2 months, and I think like 15 days or something like that. And that Srimati Radhika is 14 years, 2 months, and also like 14 days. So how old is Mahaprabhu in Navadvip, in Uppercut Navadvip? Would he be like 16?
Well, Mahaprabhu took sannyas when he was 24. Oh, you're saying in the Prakrita Navadvip, like eternal Navadvip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard. I've never heard. Remember we read one Gaudiya Bhashya somewhere where like there's different considerations of age. Do you remember what the details were of that? There was one of these Gaudiya Bhashyas we were reading, and so like there's different measures of time, and so like for Krishna, even though he was 12 years old, was it when he left Mathura? But there's a different consideration of time with Krishna. Like they matured a lot earlier, and so it's like Krishna was like 16 or something like that. Do you remember reading some kind of Gaudiya Bhashya thing like that?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think.
Per year, around a year and a half or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or-
Narihari Prabhu, your voice isn't so clear. Maybe if you could put your mic closer to your mouth closer to the mic.
Yeah. Oh, I have a speaker, satellite speaker, so maybe that's what it is.
Okay, yeah. Now you're clear. Yeah.
Okay. So I remember something you read too, and I heard that too before. That times year and a half, I think it's per year, so it ends up that around that age, Krishna.
Yeah. But sorry if I'm cutting you off. I think the connection is not so good. But yeah, I think. But that's referring to the pastimes here, isn't it? So, and Kishore is asking about the Nitya Lila, right? So yeah, I don't know. That's a good question though. If you ever find the answer to that, you can let me know. All right. So I'm just sitting outside here, Umadiri's room, Umadiri ki jai, and yeah. All right, it was great discussion at the end, Kishore. And Sudevi Didi, Haribol. Yeah. Oh, I have one of these days. Maybe I could. Maybe on, if you're free on. Anyways, I'll talk to you. I'll send you a message, private message. All right. Dandavat pranams, everybody.
Oh, one thing. If anyone's curious about the Murāri Gupta Nimāi Paṇḍita pastime, it's Chaitanya Mangal Ādi-khaṇḍa, chapter 3.
Okay. Maybe tomorrow, would you like to read from that directly, like before we start our reading?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay, yeah, that would be interesting to read the source. Cool. All right, Hari Bol, everybody. Dandavat Pranam, Sudevi Didi, and everybody here on Zoom and Facebook, YouTube. Dandavat Pranams. Hare Krishna. Hari Hari Prabhu, Kishore Prabhu, Shubhananda Prabhu, Vishwara Didi. All right, Hare Krishna, everybody.